I'm going to say it. I always thought Michael Jackson was inappropriate with young boys. And now I'm finding out about 5 new accusers. This is bonkers, and I only found out about it because the Jackson estate is fighting with one of those people, claiming that he made up the allegations for a paycheck. Hello, my fam, it is Perez, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and this drama first erupted after the documentary Finding Neverland, and his estate quietly made it go away, until now. Remember, in that documentary, Wade Robson and James Safechuck came forward bravely telling their stories of being abused by Michael Jackson when they were minors. Oprah believed them, and so did I, but it seemed like the masses were hell-bent on discrediting them, just as is happening now. Listen. 2 things can be true at the same time. Yes, a victim might be trying to get as much money as possible, and they're still a victim. The Michael Jackson estate went to court this week and outed Frank Cascio, his former manager, as an extortionist, according to them. And because of this, we've now learned about the 4 other people that the Jackson estate also bought silence from back in 2020. This week's court paperwork was a motion to compel arbitration. Arbitration which is required per the contract that Frank signed back in 2020. The petition says that the year before that, when the HBO docuseries Leaving Neverland brought back into the public eye the allegations of child SA against Michael Jackson, Cascio and his associates, 4 others, quote, decided it was their turn to profit from making specious accusations against their dear friend, despite having been staunch defenders of Jackson for more than 30 years. The estate quickly settled with the 5 accusers. And remember, even before Wade Robson and James Safechuck, there were other accusers who alleged that Michael Jackson was inappropriate against them when they were young boys. Can you imagine if these 5 accusers, or 4 or 3 or even 2 or 1 of them were added to that HBO documentary or added to the lawsuit that Wade and James are still pursuing in civil court? According to Jackson's estate at the time, Frank previously had denied that Michael ever engaged in inappropriate conduct. However, the estate agreed to settle those claims under what it described as a business decision. The settlement deal was signed in January of 2020, and it was styled as a purchase of their life rights and a consulting agreement with each of the 5 accusers to receive $3.3 million over 6 years. However, before the final $500,000 payment was made to each of the accusers, the man we now know as Frank Cascio notified the estate that he no longer planned to abide by the agreement he had signed in January of 2020, and he was seeking $213 million in new payments and would go public if denied. The demands came at a time when the Jackson estate was finishing up a deal worth $600 million to sell half of his catalog, the publishing to all of his songs, to sell it to Sony Music, valuing his catalog at $1.2 billion. Cascio, who began his friendship with Jackson when he was just a young boy and later in life became his manager, His lawyer asked the estate if it had disclosed his claim to Sony, suggesting the risk of potentially affecting the deal's value. The new petition says that Cascio spent years passionately proclaiming Jackson's innocence in interviews and also disputed the child abuse claims in the book My Friend Michael. That book also alleges that Jackson's marriage to the late Lisa Marie Presley was not genuine on Michael's end. It was a smokescreen, deflection from all of the accusations and the legal drama that he had going on at the time. Jordy Chandler and others. This week's petition says Frank's book adamantly confirmed that he could state with the absolute conviction of a man who saw Michael interact with thousands of kids that in all the years that I was close to him, I saw nothing that raised any red flags. Frank stated unequivocally, quote, "I want to be precise and clear on the record so that everyone can read and understand. Michael's love for children was innocent, and it was profoundly misunderstood." Wade Robson also had defended Michael in the past and then revealed the truth. I think this means nothing. It doesn't affect that I still believe Michael was inappropriate with little boys. I remember even Michael defenders in court revealed, yeah, we had sleepovers in his house where we shared a bed together. His defenders, who said that nothing sexual or inappropriate happened, in their minds, strangers, children not related to him, sharing a bed with him was not inappropriate. It is. It was. According to this week's court filing by the Jackson estate, they say that they reluctantly agreed to pay Cascio the settlement in 2020 without admitting any wrongdoing and in exchange for a promise that any future disputes would be decided in confidential arbitration. And that's why they went to court to push for that, because Frank is threatening lawsuits and going public. The settlement also stated that Cascio and the other accusers had to defend Jackson publicly. The estate says that Cascio has now retained very famous, powerful attorney Mark Garagos, who actually previously represented Michael Jackson and is threatening to bring a public lawsuit unless the estate satisfies a fresh demand of $44 million. The Michael Jackson estate has generated more than $3 billion since his death, and it maintains that his accusers are simply seeking to profit off an artist who cannot defend himself, because defamation law does not extend to dead individuals. MJ's estate went public with all this late last year, but I did not find out about it until this week's court proceedings. In an interview last year, John Branca, a longtime Michael Jackson aide and the manager of his estate, said, quote, "We survived leaving Neverland, but I'm not sure we could have with those additional allegations." His lawyers told Branca, "You have no choice. If these people come forward and make these allegations, then Michael is over. His legacy is over. The business is done." I'm not trying to cancel him. He's dead. And he was a PDF file, I think. And I say that full chest. And I didn't even know that dead people can't be defamed. So, PDF file. Crazy. Like I said at the beginning, I think two things can be true at the same time. I think this Frank guy could be looking for a payday and could have actually been a victim of Michael's as well. What do you think? Let's discuss it all in the comments section.